with the exercise thing as well, like most people, you're like, I really ought to get a session in today. I know I'm going to feel better as a result of it. It's actually mental to now be in a position where I'm like, God, I'd love to train, but like, I really shouldn't. Like, it's like holding yourself back. I think especially for athletes, this is super, super critical. And I'd like to, ask you how you dealt with this sort of like boom and bust cycle and this sort of pull of being an athlete, being someone who's naturally like a high achiever. I mean, like you clearly were going to the Olympics. Like, how did that affect you, and how difficult was it for you to then actually make the decision to call it quits and fully focus and prioritize on your health?
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard. It's like I've spent a lot of time like reflecting on this. Like when I kind of realized that I wasn't going to go to the Olympics, I knew like this is going to be the hardest thing I go through, like I've been through. Hopefully not anything harder.
touch wood.
So I was like, okay, this is gonna take its mental toll, and I took a lot of time to think about it because I just needed to make space for it. And I think what long COVID has really changed me, and it's really changed the way like what I identify with, and like who I think I am. Basically, like we can go deep into it. Like I do think it does this. Like for me, you know, long COVID, you can't even. You don't like stop functioning. Oh, sorry, I hit the microphone. You stop functioning like as a human being, right? So like you can no longer identify like with what you do in the day, basically, like because that's all taken away from you. You can't see your friends anymore. You can't see your family in the same way. Like you can't hang out with them in the same way. Like you can't do your job. You can't study. You can't like it. Just you cannot do stuff in the day. So I had to stop, and I had to think like I felt like this need to like anchor myself to something. Like, who am I now? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I ended up kind of falling upon like, how am I going to deal with this challenge? Like that's what I anchored myself to. And it kind of is like my values, I guess. And it's like very internal, and it's like, you know, like process driven growth mindset. It's all a bit cheesy, but like, this thing of like prioritizing my health, prioritizing my mental health, being there for others. Those are the things that I ended up identifying with, rather than how fast I could row a boat.
Yeah,
or
for sure.
Who are my friends? Do you know what I mean? Like, which social group am I in? All that kind of cheesy stuff now. Do you know what I mean? Or like, what high functioning career I have. Like those. And actually, what I've realised that's actually really powerful. Like, I feel like that transfers to the rest of my life as well.
Yeah.
And I'm like really grateful for that experience. Like, that's something that I've gained from this experience that is going to I really want to carry forward for the rest of my life. And that external stuff, I don't want to diminish how much it means to me. Like, I don't want to diminish how much rowing meant to me or whatever. Like, because it was a huge part of me, but it's not who I am. I identify with different things now. Does that make sense?
For sure, because you've always been Oonagh the rower, like I'm Harry the judo guy or the guy who trains or whatever.
Yeah.
And it becomes such a strong part of your, almost personality, I think, isn't it? That's sort of what identifies you. And then when you have that stripped away, I think it impacts recovery wise as well, because I know I was always like, in my head, I was like, I can't let myself like get out of shape. I don't want to like, so I was kind of trying to keep pushing through and pushing onto that. But, you know, we were talking about this before, like to anyone or like a lot of athletes, the Olympics is the pinnacle and the aim of your life, all right? Like, or not necessarily the aim, but the pinnacle of your career, the absolute high point. And like you say, long COVID very much almost makes you reflect on that and think, you know, what is actually important is to be able to imagine to be able to sit down, to be able to sit down and feel relaxed. Your nervous system isn't haywire and just looking out and having a night. It's like, that is like 15 times more, like 100 times more important than, you know, an accolade or something like that. And like you said, not to diminish what it did mean, because it obviously played a huge part of your life, but it's not necessarily the only thing.
100%. Like I would lose the Olympics, like I said this to you before, I'd lose the Olympics every year for the rest of my life over having long COVID. 100%.
Yeah, without a
shadow of a doubt. Like, yeah. And it makes you realize that your health is like really the most important thing, basically.